Are we sacrificing the spirit of Jiu Jitsu on the altar of victory? So I got something I've been thinking a lot about lately. We got this BJJ Starts 10 card coming up on April 22nd, and I think there's something that we need to talk about. In case you're not up to speed, here's the situation. BJJ Starts 10, got this big bracket coming up, 40K on the line, and a bunch of the guys in the bracket have been busted using PEDs or steroids. Mccaghren, busted. Kyan Duarte, busted. Cyborg, busted. $40,000 on the line, that's been generating a lot of discussion. A lot of questions about the impact of steroid use in Jiu Jitsu and just about the honesty of the competitors. Now let me make something clear right away. It's not up to me whether or not you take steroids. I'm not taking one side of the argument or the other, but I think we need to talk about it. I got some questions. Here's the deal. A lot of athletes feel like they have to use steroids, that they have to take PEDs, EPO, SARMs, whatever, just to keep up with everybody. They feel like they got to level the playing field because they feel like, in their mind, everybody's taking steroids. And hey, some competitions, ADCC, BJJ Starts, the PGF, a lot of competitions, most competitions, don't test for performance-enhancing drugs at all. But some organizations do. The IBJJF, and then of course any of the large MMA organizations like UFC, Bellator, etc. And if you're competing for one of the organizations that don't test, listen, that's on you. You're a grown man or woman, do whatever you want to do. But the thing that drives me crazy, the thing that really, honestly, it bothers me, is when people lie about what they're doing. Don't make up excuses. I don't want to hear, well, my doctor made a mistake or my doctor was giving me something I didn't know. You're not being honest. You're not telling the truth. You're a professional athlete and you don't know what you're putting into your body. And Mika's been taking steroids since he was a young teenager. It's a bad look, man. Now listen, if you're not a competitor and you want to take steroids, do your thing. But the second that you sign up for a competition, even if they don't test, you're taking on a new level of responsibility because you've got the safety of the other guy in your hands. So you've got that responsibility whether you want it or not. This is not like baseball where the objective is to just hit the ball farther or throw the ball faster. Nobody's getting hurt like that. This is combat sports, man. I'm trying to break somebody's arm, and now I'm juiced to the gills trying to break somebody's arm. I don't know, man. As fans of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as practitioners of Jiu-Jitsu, some of the stuff that a lot of us like best about it is the integrity of it, the kind of the callback to the romantic side of martial arts. We admire the hard work and the dedication that it takes to actually get good, and much less to compete at a high level. I know that's not everybody. Not everybody cares about that part, but a lot of people do. And with the rise of PED use, you gotta start asking yourself, are we moving away from that integrity and that honesty part of the martial arts? And if we are, does it really even matter? Was that actually part of Jiu-Jitsu, or is that just something that we've ascribed to Jiu-Jitsu? Maybe you're willing to overlook that. Maybe you don't care. Whatever. I'm just asking questions. I'm not here to make judgment on any of it. But the thing is, this is your decision as the BJJ community. The people who watch Jiu-Jitsu and the people who actually participate in Jiu-Jitsu, the fans, the practitioners, you guys are really the people who make the sport. Not the Gracies, not Eddie Bravo, not the UFC. It's you. And you get to decide the future of where the sport goes. You get to pick the direction. BJJ Starts 10 and all the controversy surrounding it, it's really like a snapshot of the bigger issue, which is that we need to talk about PED use in the sport. We need to have a conversation about it out loud, not just hiding in the forums and in the Instagram comments. There's a lot of athletes that really don't care, and hey, cool, I get it. But there's a lot of athletes, I think about Tom Halpin, very outspoken He's against it, and I respect that he's got the courage to actually step up and say something about it. But you, as a fan, as a practitioner of the art, you got to ask yourself, is this something that we really want associated with the sport? Are we willing to turn a blind eye to the PED use for the sake of entertainment and for glory? Or should we hold ourselves and our fellow practitioners of jiu-jitsu to a higher standard? Is that something that we really want to do? Because I think we have a tendency as the community to take our black belts and our world champions and put them up on this pedestal and think that they're like these perfect people who never make mistakes. But that's just not true. And we see that not just in this field, but in all kinds of different situations. I was a huge basketball fan growing up, and I remember one time Charles Barkley got in big trouble. People were so mad at him because he said, "I am not a role model."
I am not a role model.
He didn't want to be held up as a standard of integrity. He's just there to play basketball. And in some ways, I really respect that. He said, "Don't look to me as a role model." So as BJJ Starts 10 gets ready to pop off, it's time for us to have this discussion. Do we want PED use to be okay in our sport? We gotta talk about it. Are we willing to sacrifice the spirit of jiu-jitsu for a W? Or will we try to rise above that and try to protect the integrity of BJJ that many of us find so fulfilling and so rewarding? Whichever side of the debate that you fall on, we need to engage in a conversation, listen to different perspectives. If you're against steroids, you need to sit and listen to the perspective of somebody who's in favor of it, and vice versa. And we need to start coming together and having a real discussion and making some standards in the sport. If the standard is we don't test for steroids, okay, let's move forward with that. But if the standard is, hey man, we don't do that, then we need to figure the testing situation out. This just testing the podium guys, that's not gonna cut it. I know it's so expensive, but just testing the podium guys at some events when they know they're gonna be tested, you've heard people say it, it's just an IQ test, not a steroid test. And amazingly, some of these guys are failing the IQ test. Ultimately, the choice is ours to make, the community, us. We can embrace the win-at-all-cost mentality that comes with sport jiu-jitsu, or we can demand what we perceive to be a higher level of integrity from our BJJ athletes and our coaches. No matter what your stance is on this topic, I think we can all agree on one thing. We need to be honest about it. We owe it to ourselves to be truthful about the choices we make and the reasons behind them. And the athletes especially need to take that into consideration. And if you're worried about the impact that our athletes have on kids as role models, I'm much more concerned with their integrity and honesty and lying about the situation than I am about whether or not they actually took steroids. The honesty is the most important part. So let's talk. Share your thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. Are you in favor of PEDs in jiu-jitsu? A lot of people are. I get that argument. I kind of feel that way myself sometimes. Depends on which side of the bed I wake up on. But sometimes I wake up on the other side of the bed where this stuff has got to go and there's no place for it. I need to hear from you. What do you think?